I mean, I live in New York. We live here in the States. Probably, most New Yorkers would say is terrorism. But as you move around the world, they discover that poverty is a threat, environmental degradation, infectious diseases. We've seen the avian flu and the excitement about it, international organized crime, weapons of mass destruction, terrorism, and other. And these are threats that the UN and other member states are dealing with. You've seen the action we are taking on avian flu. You've seen the work we did after tsunami struck, and also the earthquake in Asia. You know the work we are doing on economic development to fight poverty, the work we are doing on HIV/AIDS. All these are extremely important to many people around the world. The peace building and peacekeeping aspects of our work are also important, but that's not the only thing we do. And when it comes to these issues, the UN can be as powerful as its member states. You refer to Iraq. Iraq, the Security Council never authorized a war in Iraq. It's not a UN operation. I have people in there working with the government and those on the ground to try and stabilize Iraq. We have played a very important role in the elections. In the election, the UN, we couldn't stop it, but we didn't start it. But we are helping to bring it under control. It's not everything that the UN can stop. When you talk of the UN couldn't stop it, who is the UN? Your government and mine. UN is a government. And the UN is as strong as the governments want it to be. If the governments that made the UN had restrained themselves and worked together, it could have been stopped. So when we talk of the UN, we have to be careful not to think of it as some satellite out there where governments and us have nothing to do with. It is the governments. And so I think, so we are trying to help stabilize Iraq. You talked of Afghanistan and others, there is the same situation, but again, we are there trying to work with the others to stabilize it. But I think we need to look at the UN in a much broader term, not focus narrowly on peace, on conflict and violence. To become a global citizen, one has to start at home in one's own community, to become engaged, to become concerned about what's happening in the community, and to do what you can to assist the community, to help a friend in need. It is so easy. Sometimes we get overwhelmed by problems and we say, what can I do as an individual? It's such a huge problem, but I often say that if each of us did our little bit, collectively we will make a real contribution. So I would encourage you to engage in your own community, to do everything you can with your neighbors. And sometimes it's even, you don't have to do much more than to say, this is enough, this has gone too far, we shouldn't accept it anymore. Or just raise your voice, let's not sit back and accept it. And I think the lessons you get here, learning about other cultures, learning about languages, meeting all the foreign students who are here, also makes you aware of the world beyond and curious to learn more and to get to know the world outside. But what is important is that we care for each other, that the problems of each other becomes our concern, and we focus on emphasizing what brings us together, what binds us, and not what divides us. You have an opportunity. First of all, once the educational institution has embraced internationalism, multiculturalism, which as this college has done, and accepts that having foreign students and others on campus is an asset, it's a learning experience. It allows you to interact with others. When you begin to learn another language, it's also a way of beginning to understand the culture and how those who use that language think and react. When you interact with the students, after a while you get to know that the way you would explain something to somebody from this region may be quite different from how you would explain it to another. You would also get to understand that the concerns are not homogeneous. They have different concerns depending on where they come from. And you gain understanding and knowledge that way. And you also begin to identify the kinds of problems others have that you may want to become involved with and help resolve. Even if you cannot lift a finger to do something about it, learning about it and hearing from them is self-educational. And I'm sure all of you who've come to Mac and have had these encounters are going to leave here changed in the form of you would have absorbed so much that has become part of you. I often say that what you do today will be part of you tomorrow, and what you do tomorrow will be part of you the day after. And this is what you young people should reach out, work across race, across community, across language barriers, and learn. And I think you're doing it here, and to stand you in good stead, because we are really, the world has shrunk, and we live in a global village. So the more you understand of other cultures and the problems of the world, the better off you are in the future. And you should, because that's the world you guys are going to live in, and you're going to lead that world. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you.
Kofi Annan Speaks in Minnesota is a co-production of Macalester College and its Institute for Global Citizenship and TBT's Minnesota channel.